Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this session. I'm really excited to have everybody in here today. First, I want to thank you for agreeing to be a part of this webinar. You decided to register and you did not stop at registering. You also went ahead to ensure that you're present here today. So we're really grateful for that. And I want to promise you that you are not just going to be here. You're going to learn a lot from being here today. As we had earlier discussed, we have two speakers who would be speaking to us here today at different times. And I promise you that you are going to don't share your voice. When you share your voice, you can. Oh, so should I? Don't share. Okay, I'm sorry, please confirm that everybody can hear me now. Okay, right here again, please let me start again. I didn't figure out that nobody could hear me. All right, so once again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I really do appreciate. I mean, we did not just list, we did not just register, we registered and we also joined to be a part of this amazing webinar today. And I can promise that this is going to be a webinar that is going to help each and every one of us in our goals and definitely in our careers. As earlier communicated, the topic for today is 9 to 5 chicks, balancing fulfillment and making money. We have some ground rules. These are the content for today. We're going to have our ground rules. We have our welcome address. We are going to have our first speaker talk to us, and we are also going to be having Q&A sessions. We'll have our second presentation as well as Q&A session and filling of the survey, as well as the closing remarks. All right, so our ground rules. First, please, everybody, let's have a great internet ready so that we do not miss out on anything. Like I've earlier mentioned, this is going to be a session that would be amazing for each and every one of us. And you don't want to miss out any part of it. Please keep your microphones and camera off during the presentation. We do not want clashes when our presenters have started presenting. We are going to be having a Q&A session after each of the presentation. That is so much that we can listen to each, or we can ask each presenter questions around the presentations or generally anything that would like to know. Please make sure you use the chat section to drop your comments and also drop your questions. We understand that maybe from time to time people have comments they want to drop while the presentation is ongoing, so you can as well do that during the session, and you can use that same chat box to drop your questions. At the end of the whole webinar, a survey link will be sent, will be shared in the chat box. Please make sure we are appealing to you to help us fill that survey link. Reason is we want to be able to do better moving forward, and your comments will go a long way in what we have to do. Moving to the next part of it, we are going to be having a welcome address by Mrs. Oluwayemi Tony Akinola. She's the head of digital marketing and sales at AXA Mansard PLC. Thank you.
Hi, Aderonke, and hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Sessions like this are always very, very exciting for me, but especially this particular session, and that's because we haven't done this in a while. We've had 8 editions before now where we've treated all these very exciting topics. I think at some point we talked about we talked about public speaking. We've talked at some point about starting and growing your own business in Nigeria. At that time, we had Mrs. Tara Feladuro Toye. We've had all these very interesting topics. We've even talked about mental health for women and the likes in the last 8 episodes of this particular webinar. But today's one is very special to me because after all this time, we're finally back for the 9th episode, and I can't wait to hear from the fantastic lineup that we have today. So thank you everyone for joining. We're already at over 100 people, so that's very exciting for me. Let's dive into it. Pay proper attention because the women that are on the line up today, you have no idea the things that these women can do and how packed today is going to be. So please pay attention, stay with us up to the end so that you don't miss anything out of this package. Women are such great people with very peculiar circumstances, and that's why we started She's in Charge. So because of we hope that you can take advantage of these webinars, and it will help you in your personal life, your businesses, your careers, and the like. So I'll just say, without taking too much of your time, welcome and have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yemisi. I'm really grateful. All right, diving right into it, we are going to be having our first speaker, Adebola Surakat. Adebola Surakat is a marketing professional. She is a businesswoman. She has over two decades of experience. Adebola is currently the Chief Marketing Officer at AXA Mansard Insurance, following a vast experience across both teams within the organization. Permit me to say that Adebola has led a minimum of 5 different departments, from risk management to claims, at AXA Mansard before joining to becoming the Chief Marketing Officer. On the side, Adebola is a solopreneur, having tried several businesses such as having a dance school, baby diapers, jewelry, and more at different times during a professional journey. More recently, a part-time businesswoman with a couple of established businesses in hospitality, sale of home accessories, and interior design. Please, with a virtual round of applause, help me welcome the Chief Marketing Officer at AXA Mansard, Adebola Surakat. Welcome, Debola.
Thank you, Ronke. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. And I want to say a warm welcome to all of our audience today. We're very glad that every one of you are able to join this session with us. So first off, maybe to give everyone a charge, right? This is She's in Charge by AXA Mansard. And I want everyone to say, I know I can't hear you, but just say to yourself that I am in charge. Say it to yourself convincingly that I am in charge. I am in charge. You can mention your name, Adebola. I am in charge. And why do I say that women are in charge? Women are in charge because, and I believe that I am in charge because that I foresee a future where women will truly be thriving and be at the top. Be at the top in different sectors, male dominated sectors, in sectors that are generally tough, and places where women generally would not be found, and also just looking at the whole top and seeing that women are present, actively present in both government and private sector. And that is a dream. And so that's why we should charge ourselves to say that we are in charge. What are we talking about today? Balancing fulfillment and making money. Um, it's a very interesting topic, and I thought to even start with some statistics. So I said, oh, let me look around and see what statistics I can find. And it was very interesting that I found the following. First off, according to McKinsey and Company, the pandemic in 2020 has led to thoughts of employees to reflect on their purpose in life and re-examine the work they do. So post COVID, I think because of everything that we all went through, people are now more particular about the kind of jobs they do and what satisfaction that they gain from it. PwC also found that fulfillment at work is just as important as higher pay. I know that if we were to ask everyone, people would think generally that everyone is going for higher pay, but I think clearly things are beginning to evolve. 83% of employees said finding meaning in day-to-day work was top priority for them. 69% of employees will change employers for a better job fulfillment. Um, 69 one out of three employees would even take a job with a lower pay if it was more fulfilling. And then highly fulfilled employees also plan to stay at the organizations 3 years longer than unfulfilled employees, which tells us that it's important that we understand that in trying to make money, we need to also get some form of fulfillment from whatever it is that we are doing. And finally, according to the World Economic Forum, happy people are less likely to burn out and tend to report higher levels of productivity because they enjoy the work that they are doing. And this can in turn lead to more success and more income. Next slide. Now, I'm asking a question. Do you love your job? Simon Sinek um, says that there's a statistic that over 90% of people go home at the end of the day feeling unfulfilled by their work. And there's actually a difference between liking your job and loving your job. You can like your job, but the question is, do you really love your job? And over 90% of people who work in these days don't. And I imagine a world where that statistic is completely reversed by Simon Sinek. And I agree totally with him. I don't feel that there should be any reason why you would spend so many hours working and you don't enjoy what you do. And so, as we go through this, I want to leave you with some puzzling questions. The first one is, do you love or like your job? And as we go along, you'll see how I will try to address these questions as the session goes along. Then it talks about, does traditional 9 to 5, does it check all the boxes for you? So being in a 9 to 5 job, can it actually bring you absolute fulfillment? What is it my purpose? Can my money buy happiness and ultimately fulfillment? And the last one, is a fulfilled life a perfect life? So stay tuned as we go along. So I thought to say, let's even talk about what is fulfillment. What is fulfillment to us? What do we understand by fulfillment? And to me, one of the definitions that I found that resonated with me is that it is a deeper inner feeling of contentment or completeness that comes from the accomplishment of our most important goals or the attainment of our highest personal aspirations. It occurs when we identify strongly with a purpose or connect to others in significant ways. I also thought to talk about some other words that are closely linked to fulfillment, which is joy, happiness, fulfillment, and to see how they sort of, you know, um, they sort of link up with each other. So it says joy is like a giggle that bubbles up to the surface unexpectedly. So a joy just comes from an emotion that you feel, something good has happened, you feel happy, you feel that joy. Happiness is a little broader, where it's like a genuine smile spreading across your face that takes a little longer to dissipate. So it's happiness becomes something more than a moment. It happens for a longer time. But fulfillment is like a big slow inhale and excel, and an ever-present knowing that your life is everything truly that you wanted it to be. So fulfillment begins to become something that spreads more, wider across life. So let's hold that one side. Now let's talk about money. We'll get back to the last slide. Let's talk about money. What is money? It provides us with financial security, opportunities, and the ability to meet our basic needs and desires. It offers a sense of stability, allowing us to enjoy certain comforts and experiences that enhance quality of life. So we're saying money fulfillment. Is it to go for money? Is it to go for fulfillment, or to have a balance? And then I thought to talk about why do employees say that they are not fulfilled? Um, Sometimes it's that the work they're doing is not challenging. They don't see any form of growth in the work they do. There's no trajectory. There's nothing to look forward to. No foresight on the job. Nothing to look forward to on the job. Also, there are some jobs that become really monotonous because of the way that they are, and so very quickly there's no passion for what you do. It's just something that you come and do every day and you go. You don't think on the job. It's so operational that you just come do it everywhere. There's no passion, there's no connection to what you're doing. There's no big picture. There's nothing you're looking out for. And so it won't take too long before that job becomes, unfulfilling. Then, of course, feeling unappreciated. Everybody wants to be rewarded for the work that they do or recognized for the work that they do. And when that doesn't happen, that feeling unappreciated comes in. And then, of course, lack of ownership, on inability to take that lead or take that ownership on your task, on your role, can also lead. And then when whatever you do has no impact on anybody, there's no impact. And at the end of the day, we don't measure effort. We measure, the impact. We measure, the real outcomes. So at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're doing needs to have some level of impact. And when it doesn't, that could also lead to fulfilling experiences. Next slide. Okay. So I thought to talk about the fulfillment curve because in my research, this was something that I came across that was really interesting to me. And the main idea of this curve is really just to see that there will come a point where more spending money does not actually equals happiness or fulfillment, but it can actually tend towards the exact opposite. And so what this curve tries to let us understand is that the first when you start to spend money, or when you start to grow, even maybe like in your home, and you start to spend money, the first things that you take care of are your survival requirements, like getting a home, being able to feed, just like shelter, feeding, and just the basics, education for the children, and all of that. In that, you are surviving with little money. And then very quickly, as you continue to grow, growth comes through. You see that you start to get certain level of comfort. That's where you then think about, oh, let me get a car, maybe I can own a house, and then from there you also move to that point where you are starting to buy luxury things. So things that are very expensive, phones, premium leather, premium clothes, and things like that. And then you probably want to also be in premium places like restaurants and things like that. So you've gotten to that point where a luxury. And then the peak of everything is where you get to the point where everything is enough, like you are enough. So I want everyone in this room to first of all identify where you are on this curve. Are you in your survival mode? Are you in your comfort mode, your luxury mode, or your enough mode? Now, what this tells us is that when you get to the enough mode, it will get to a point where you know you would spend so much money, where you have maximum income, and the things that you spend on money on become things that are termed under being extravagant. You're beginning to spend money. That's when maybe you buy a premium car, or a limited edition car that costs a lot. Also, where you begin to maybe go to exclusive places, attend exclusive events, and basically spend money, buy, maybe you then have 6 cars. That's where you talk about extravagance. And what this curve is telling us is that it will get to a point where you will spend so much money, but it will not equal the level of fulfillment that you had when you were in your survival, mode. And so it will then start to tend towards a situation where your fulfillment even drops, so. And I can link it to when your children ask you to buy them a toy, when they are in the supermarket and they have sighted that toy, they really want that toy. And if you don't buy that toy for them, they'll feel so bad. And you buy that toy for them, they're so happy, they take it home. Day one, they're playing with the toy. Day two, they're playing with the toy. Day three, they're playing with it. But from like day four, day five, there's a possibility that they will not go near that toy again. And all of the fulfillment that they derived from getting that toy begins to drop. So it's the same thing also in the work environment, where in the first 12 to 18 months, you are at that plateau of fulfillment. And then, but if you are not properly engaged, in that particular organization, there's a tendency that by the time you are getting to the third year, if you're not connected, if there's no growth, if there's nothing to look forward to, the fulfillment begins to drop, and you get to that place where it's called the fulfillment trial. That is when people decide that they're going to leave. It's always between the second and the third year that they're going to leave, because they're not connected to that organization. So quickly, we go to the 4 factors of fulfillment, and I'll talk about balance, community, connection and belonging, growth and purpose. Um, it's important to know that purpose is very key. When we talk about purpose, we're talking about how do you how do you think about what exactly is this am I on this earth to do? What exactly is the thing that I believe that drives me? That thing that drives you is not something that a lot of people don't even know what their purpose is. And um even I, that I'm speaking here with you today, I only sort of figured this out maybe 6 7 years ago, not too long ago. So it's not like in my early years I was able to figure out what my purpose was. And it took me to go through a particular session, a training, a mentoring session, to actually be able to really understand, what am I here to do? What is my reason for living? You need to know that. Also the growth, community, connection, even within the organization. Who are the people that you relate with? What are the how do you feel that you belong to that particular organization? Are there events within the organization that allows you to connect and see things from other people's view? And then of course, balance. Let's go to the next slide that talks a bit more about this in the workplace. So for balance, it's actually like a sliding scale that changes based on the needs of the employee. Um, when organizations create a culture where employees feel supported and empowered to balance their work and their personal needs. And I think one key thing that I can mention here, which a lot of organizations also have adopted post COVID, is the hybrid work. I think the hybrid work is one thing that is a game changer in the work environment, and that helps to bring balance, especially for women who really need that time. I remember before COVID, we needed to get to work. We needed to leave home maybe around 6 a.m. to get to work at 7. By 8 a.m., we must be seated at our desks, and we'll start the work. And sincerely, there were really no closing time. There was no closing time. It's when you finish the work that you had to do that you would leave the office. And then post COVID, we're in a time where you can work some days in the office, you can work some days at home, you can schedule your plans around also spending time with the children, taking them to school, having that one-on-one with them, all of those things that personally I couldn't do pre-COVID is they are the things that we're doing now. And at AXA Mansard, we also do hybrid working where you get to work some days in the office, you get to go to work some days at home. That alone is a game changer and has brought a lot of balance to the work that we do. When we talk about growth, we're talking about beyond pay increases and things like that. What are the other things that the company can put forward to ensure that people see beyond the money? So for example, things like mentorship, reimbursement of tuitions, reimbursement of exam, professional fees, and things like that. All of those things are things that help, and then how people can like talent programs, how people can be better and at things that they do and all of that. Those are things that can, those are the things that can improve fulfillment within the workplace. And we talk about community connection and belonging. We talk about leaders must, go beyond the typical team building activities and, really drive a supportive community, a community that, preaches purpose, accomplishment, and, recognition, and all of those things. Those are the things that people must feel a sense of connection. And it is the values and, of the organization, the core values of organization that determines how this plays out in any organization. So, and of course, team bonding is very important, how you engage your employees and all of that. And then we'll talk about purpose. People can greatly expand the meaning they take from their work by connecting to the organization's purpose. So even the organization's purpose is important. At AXA Mansard, our purpose is asking for human progress by protecting what matters. And so, in your organization, what is your purpose, and do you align with that purpose? How do I align with the purpose of asking for human progress by protecting what matters? It's important that we understand that as an insurance company, we are supposed to be present in the faces of the lives of our customers. And so for every aspect of their life, we are able to protect them, whether from a health perspective, from a life perspective, from the perspective of the assets that they hold in high esteem. Those are the things, that, we connect to as employees of this organization. And so in your organization, what is your organization's purpose and how do you connect to those purpose? Those are part of the things that can bring fulfillment. Next slide. Now, I'll take this same slide now from a personal perspective. Now, balance, how do you balance, the work and your personal life? And I'll quickly tell you a story. And I know in my introduction, they spoke about me doing a lot of businesses. I think from the time I started working, being someone who is very creative and loves to use her hands, I sort of finding myself in insurance, I sort of felt that I was probably not in the right place. And because of that, already I knew that it wasn't going to take me too long to probably start to feel some level of unfulfillment. And so I always took opportunity to all ensure that I try to do what something on the side. And so when I was very young in the company, I think it was my second year, at the time, I was living on the mainland and the traffic situation used to be so bad. But something that makes me happy, something that keeps me going, something that rejuvenates me is dance, right? I believe I've been dancing, um, you know, probably from when I was 2 years old. And dancing to win is not dancing to ensure that I come first in that competition or whatever it is. And so it's something that I knew that made me happy. And what did I do? I decided that I was going to make money off, running a dance class. And so what did I do? I noticed that a lot of us, we needed to wait for the traffic to go down before we could proceed home. So what did I do? I looked for a venue close to the office and I rented a dance hall and I got teachers, dance instructors to come in on different days, different dance instructors. Today we have salsa, tomorrow we can do contemporary. And I informed my colleagues in the office that instead of waiting in the office after work, Maybe when you've finished your work, you can, come here for like 30 minutes, 1 hour to dance out. It helps you to exercise. So you lose some calories. You don't feel like you're waiting too long because you spend that time doing something interesting and all of that. And the music used to be really good. And I did that for a while. I think we ran that class for about maybe 12 to 18 months. And I made money off it. So it wasn't even a case of just doing something that I loved alone. I also made money off it. And I have run several businesses like that. At the time when I started having children, I was selling diapers because I felt like that was something that I always needed. And then I got a plug to get it in wholesale. And so I thought, why can't I just be doing this as a side? And I was making money as well. And so these things that I did always made sure that I had funds. I was rolling over my salary every time. I'm making profit off it, and I always had a lot of money to spend to do things that I couldn't really afford. Because in fact, in my first year, I um after I got a loan to get a car, my take home my take home after the loan was deducted from my salary was probably 30,000 naira. So it was really nothing, right? So, but because I also had some money I'd saved up earlier, I used that money to invest in the business, and I always had returns that could keep me going every now and then. So, I got fulfillment from doing some of these things on the side. So I've always been that side hustle chick that would always have something on the side that is happening, and those things keep me busy. Those are the things that I use my weekends to do. Those are the things that always kept me going. Um, Sorry, Ronke, you've moved the
Sorry.
slides. Yeah. So this is where we are. And then I'll talk about, of course, growing your skills wherever you can. It's always important that as you continue, you learn from whatever it is you're doing, because I believe that whatever it is that you're doing now, you're learning from it. So for every business that I had, I was learning from it, how to make sure that I account properly for the business, how to make sure that I don't do the business and spend all the money. And I was learning from it every time. I was learning how to calculate my profit from, and know how I can reinvest my capital and all of those. So I was learning along the way, and it wasn't difficult for me to, begin to think about something bigger as time went on. And then, of course, one other thing I also did at some point was to chronicle your journey and share it with whoever will listen. Sometimes we feel like we're feeling unfulfilled, and because of that, we don't acknowledge all of the interesting things that we have done. And so it's important for you to get a pen, get a paper, or get your laptop and write out everything that you have done. You can start a blog, you can put it on a podcast, you can do videos. You know, you will be shocked that there will be some people who will be inspired by your achievements, who will be inspired by your own trajectory, and they will give you that feedback, and you'll be shocked. And then you begin to look at it that, oh, so I'm the one that is not really appreciating myself. I'm doing a lot of interesting things that people are interested in. So chronicle your journey is so important. I set up a blog, I think in 2021, where I sort of wrote my journey from, yeah, when I started working to, at that time, I think I was 17 years or 18 years working in the same organization. And I just felt like I should chronicle my journey. And when I put it on the blog, the feedback I got from it really, really stirred me up for more. I felt like, a lot of people were just sending comments. Some people had to call me, some people talked to me directly to say, wow, this is interesting. I'm really enjoying the story. I can't wait for the next series and all that, because I sort of did it in series. So it's important for you to chronicle your journey and share it with whoever would love to listen. Start with your family, and you would begin to appreciate the work that you're doing, and that also brings some great level of fulfillment. And of course, dedicate a set time every week to something that you enjoy. I enjoy a lot of things. I like to do my interior design. I like to do my dance. I like to spend time with my children as well. We do karaoke, we do our TikTok videos, and we do movies together. All these things, the things that you enjoy, make sure you create time for them. Next slide, Ronke. And yes, now, so how do you balance the act? I think it's important to know where you are in the dilemma between money and fulfillment. Now, do you love what you do but you have less financial security, or are you okay with your finances but you're passionate about what you do? You need to know where you are so that you can address the problem, because if it's a money gap or it's a fulfillment gap, you need to know, or even both, right? Now, if you're dealing with a money gap, right? If you're dealing with a money gap, then you need to know that, okay, this is a money gap and I need to, improve. What am I going to do differently? Am I going to have to improve myself? Am I going to have to get another job? Am I going to change roles within the same organization? Just need to know what the problem is so that you can then try to think about what the solution could be. And then, of course, you need to inject passion into your current work. I was in my stay in my almost 20 2 decade stay at AXA Mansard. One thing that I always liked to do for every role that I got into was to, sort of um, challenge the status quo and do something different. And I have my records. I remember that I was the one that wrote the first credit report for the company. Nobody ever thought of it that, "Oh, let's even have a credit report status of where we are in the company." And I wrote that report for the first time. In risk management, I made my mark. I won awards for the company. I won awards for the team as well, as risk manager of the year. And this was because we did novel things. We tried to be innovative. We tried to understand what we're working for. There was passion to do things differently. There was passion to challenge status quo. There was passion to, make sure that you were different. And one thing you need to understand is that in every organization you have your peers, and the question is, if you and your peers were put side by side, what will put you ahead of the other person? So you need to always think about that. Is it your education? Are you going to make sure that you improve yourself from time to time, write certifications, write professional exams, put passion in what you do, because that's what makes the difference. And then you need to take baby steps. Sometimes we're always waiting for everything to be in place before we take a move. No, don't do that. Every time, look at the goal or the objective that you have ahead of you and think about, what little thing can I do this week that will make me go closer to the goal. So for example, like I said, I run a business on the side, and I always have objectives every year. So every year I always have things that I intend to do, and I take it baby steps. I don't even give myself any pressure, but I take it baby steps. So for example, this year, I currently repackage diffuser oils for I repackage diffuser oils. So I have the manufacturer that gives me the oils, and I just repackage it. But I repackage it in unbranded boxes, right? And this year, one of my goal is to ensure that I change from unbranded boxes to branded boxes. And I've had that objective since the beginning of the year. So I take baby steps every time. And I can tell you that at this point, I'm at the design stage. Boxes are currently being designed. A lot of designs have been done, but I'm not happy with them. So I keep turning them down. And I know that before the end of the year, I will go to print and I will have my branded boxes. And people would know when they receive my product that, oh, this product belongs to this particular brand. That I didn't have before. So it's important for us to understand that baby steps, every little step that you're taking, takes you to closer to the promised land. Next slide. So yeah, finally, I'll talk about how what are the things that you can do to ensure that whilst you are making money, there's still fulfillment. The first thing is for you to practice gratitude and contentment. For every stage that you find yourself, be grateful for where you are. I think it was during COVID that I had my own fair share of feeling unfulfilled. And it was after that I decided to chronicle my journey. And when I started chronicling my journey, was when I realized that I was being ungrateful. And I had to, sit back and say, you are being ungrateful. Because when I looked at when I started in 2005 and my trajectory and how I have grown, my peers, and how I got a promotion every 2 years non-stop until I got to managerial level. And even at managerial level, how I was able to make manager at certain times, even maybe earlier than if some of my peers. And when I started to write it down was when I knew that I was being ungrateful. Yes, a few things were on the table that I was hoping that I would achieve at that time that didn't quite come through. And so, and one thing you need to understand is there will be those times when there will be some level of failure, but we need to learn from it, get up from it, and move to the next level. And I think that that whole exercise of writing down my achievements was what helped me to understand that I needed to be grateful. I need to be content for where I am, right? I'm not saying that you cannot show some level of discontentment, like, oh, I want to be better, I want to be more. Yes, you can, but for where you are, wherever you are, you can also still be content in that sphere, in that scope. You can still be content. Then you need to create a vision board. I did this in 2021 when I went for a mentoring program, and I called it Once Upon a Future. What You need to have a vision board, and the vision board is really like, where in 5 years, in 10 years, where do you want to be? But you write it in the specific. You write it in the specific. For example, if in 10 years you'd like to travel to a particular place by, maybe you want to be on a business class flight to go to Seychelles to spend your vacation for that year, a 1 week, write it that detailed, right? That's what a vision board helps you to do. It helps you to be very specific about what you want to achieve. So you need to have a vision. But if you don't have one now, I'll suggest that when you after this, you get your vision board, and you can make it very visual. If you can draw, you can actually draw your vision board. If you can write very well, write out your vision board, make it very everything that you want to see yourself do, and put it in a place where you can see it every time, right? And when you have that, then if you start to follow it, then it helps you to also work towards achieving, and that brings some level of fulfillment, especially when you're now able to achieve those things that you put on your vision board. Then, of course, achieve financial and time freedom. That's something that everybody looks towards. But of course, in paid employment, you might not be able to achieve time freedom, like do things at your own time and everything. But there's some balance that has been brought to it by hybrid working. And so you can actually plan yourself and ensure that you are able to focus on your personal needs as well as your professional needs together as one. And then as entrepreneurs, I think that with the people who own their own businesses, one what's the word now? One direction that a lot of entrepreneurs try, or they believe that fulfillment has come, is when they are able to balance their financial and time freedom. Of course, you need to embody your personal values. You need to understand what it is that is important to you. For example, for me, what is important to me is family. I love family. I love to spend time with my children. I have three daughters, by the way, and I really love to spend time with them. I like to hear their thought process. I like to, ask them probing questions. I like to, and you see the way my eyes are coming alive when I'm talking about my children. So you need to determine that thing that ticks for you. Is it your health? Is it impact? Like, are you just that person that just wants to give back? When you give back, it just makes you fulfilled. Those are the things. So you need to identify those things and embody all of the things that you want to do into those your personal values. Then prioritize personal growth and evolution. Like I said before, you need to ensure that you are growing in everything that you're doing, whether in your side hustle, whether in your work, whether in business. And how do you grow? You need to look at the things that you want to achieve and the things that you need to be there. Of course, there will be some educational requirements or academic requirements that you require to get in. It could even be some form of informal training. anything that you need to make sure that it's in the plan, because that actually reflects some sense of fulfillment. Because where you are today is not where you'll be many years to come. The things that I know now, working in a place like AXA Mansard, the things that I knew 10 years ago is not the things that I knew now, that I know now. So there, you need to acknowledge that, personal growth is important. So you don't leave yourself, because opportunity meets preparation. So if you are not prepared, right, and an opportunity comes, how are you going to take it if you're not improving yourself, if there's no personal growth, if there's no evolution? Then you also need to connect to something bigger than you. I spoke about purpose before. What's the reason why I'm in this world? You need to identify that. Why am I here? What am I here to do? What am I here to achieve? When you know that, and you connect to that, you know that thing that is a bit bigger than you. For some people is giving back. For some people is service. They want to serve. For some people is creating, doing things, with their hands, and making out things. So for different people, it's different thing. You need to understand what your purpose is and how you can connect to it. And then, of course, increase your happy hormones. You need to dance, you need to exercise, yoga, something that would increase your happy hormones, that would make you happy. For me, it is dancing, it's exercise, spending time with family, doing fun things. Those are the things that help me increase. You need to find your own. For some people, it could be going to the gym, increase lifting weights, it could be singing, it could be anything. You need to find it and incorporate it into your everyday. And those are the things that help bring about fulfillment. And then, of course, you need to practice mindfulness, be engaged in the moment. What are the things that you're doing now? Appreciate your every move. Some people want to celebrate themselves only when they meet the big goals. You should celebrate yourself along the way. Every time, celebrate your little way. I didn't used to celebrate myself as much as I do now. But now, even when I do the littlest things, I feel happy. I could take myself out, buy myself a gift, because I feel like I've achieved something. So celebrate the little wins and not only the big wins. And when the big wins come as well, celebrate them. I think that's all from me. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope that I have shared some interesting experiences that can help you also channel your way to fulfillment, whilst making money. Thank you, everyone. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you so much. Absolutely, you have shared amazing insights to us, honestly, and really thank you so much. This has been very insightful. I see a few questions here. Someone says, "Can I have a recording?" The video has been the webinar has been recorded, so yeah, there will be a recording of it. So someone says, the name says anonymous attendee. Someone says, "Good day. Thank you for having a session with us. As a 9 to 5 professional, how can I effectively market myself and my peanut and fruit business to my colleagues without being too pushy or violating company policies?" And now this is a question. This is a very
And this,
interesting.
this, this is a great question. And I think it depends on the culture of the organization that you work in. So you need to, of course, take that into consideration. Personally, I also don't market my products to colleagues in the office particularly. I don't do it. But for few people that know that I do these things that come to me, fine. But I don't market it directly in the office. And why? The platforms that I have a website for my home accessory store. I run a part of a family business, hospitality. We have Airbnbs across Lagos, and all of these things. But I hardly do. But on my personal profile, I put it up there, so that sometimes when I have the time, I put it up there so that people know that these things there. So when they have the real need, they come to me. But I don't really market people directly. But if the culture of the organization does not it doesn't affect what the work that you do, then I think it's something, and there's no conflict of interest, that what you're doing is not in conflict with the business of your organization, then I don't believe that it should be a problem. There are many ways you can market your products, especially using digital, platforms. Those platforms helps to push things to different people. Put it on your WhatsApp, put it on your personal phone, your platforms, your or any other platform you're on.
Hi, Debola, are you there? Hi,
Yeah.
Debola, can you hear us? Oh, oh wow. Okay. And more questions are now coming in. I think we need to give let's just give it a few seconds. I think we're just hello. Okay. I think she's had to drop off. Uh
Sorry,
Okay.
me.
okay. Debola, are you there?
Yes, yes, yes. Can you still
Okay.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was trying to round off on that question, but I said that I would encourage that you use online platforms to push your products, advertise your products, and I'm sure that the right target audience would reach out to you. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that response, Debola. That was very it was very precise. Just there's for everything there is balance. So just find the perfect sweet spot and you'll be good to go. Okay, so we have a question from Omolara Manwa. I hope I pronounced that name properly. Please, my apologies if I didn't. The question says, how do I move from ideas to execution for the ideas that I have?
Interesting question. Okay, so I think first off, if a lot of people have interesting ideas, but a lot of times they don't know how to bring it to. So you need to find someone that maybe is in that field that understand. You need to go for a crash program and just understand the dynamics of what you're trying to go into. For me, I always do a lot of research. I talk to people that are probably doing something related or something close and say, I'm trying to do this thing. I'm having issues here. Can you help me? And then they'll give me insights as to how, sometimes you can actually go for like a formal training. When I wanted to start the business of diffuser oils and things like that, I had to do like an online training, and then I did like a mentoring with somebody as well to understand, how to put it out there, how to sell it, how to, and even without branding, like I said earlier, even without branding, it's selling, right? So you really just need to understand what you're trying to go into, work with somebody who understands the terrain so they can guide you, because sometimes, you don't want to, make losses, or, so it's one thing that you're not selling, but you shouldn't be making losses or significant losses from doing a side hustle, so you need to ensure that you understand what you're trying to get into. And so you can just get guidance from them. You can research depending on what you're trying to do. Research work also works. And then, of course, one thing that I also always do is that I do like a pilot, I do like a test run of whatever it is I want to do, So I just maybe get some money and say, this is my test run fund, like testing fund. It might be 100K, might be 200K. Then I use it to test the product. So I don't put all my legs in all at the same time. So I try and bring that idea to fruition. And then these days, I think that there's a lot more we can do in by partnering with each other. Recently, someone came to me and told me that, oh, she wants to start an errands business. She wants to help people. She has some time and she would like to help people do market runs and everything. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to partner with you. Let me help you package it. I mean, someone that is close to me. So we started, and we started working on branding. We started working on, and we're trying to put it together, So, if you want to go to market, and then we did it like so like not just going to market, but any errands that you like to run, the person can help run it for you and all of that. And we're working on pricing, we're working on branding, and all of those things. So it was an idea that she had for a long time, but she didn't know how to bring it. So you can also partner with people, not for it depends on what they could just be just equity contributors, not necessarily contributing capital to the business. They can also contribute equity, sweat equity to your business by giving you ideas. But you can work with them for a short time, or it could be, for the long haul. So you can also work with people, when you want to, okay, come, let's do this thing together. I have this idea. What do you think? And then when two heads together, you can actually do a better
Frida.
thing.
Okay, thank you so much for that response, Adebola. I'm one of those, I'm the overall best in having ideas and never being able to do anything about them. So, yeah, one other thing I would also recommend is for you to have an accountability partner, someone that can hold you accountable. Of course, a trusted person. This is not me saying, oh, go ahead and just be dumping your ideas in the laps of random people. My sister is that person for me. My sister is the person who will wake me up in the night and say, Shebi, you said you would do such and such and such thing. Why haven't you done it? Something like that. So if you can find an accountability partner, that would be great. I think we should run through a few more questions. I think because we still have another speaker. Okay, let's take one more from Sarah. He says, "Hi, ma'am. How do you get someone to mentor you without you seeming pushy or burdensome?"
If an interesting question, and I think that one is very important for you to get mentorship for somebody that also wants to mentor you. Sometimes it's in an organization like ours, we get that opportunity by default because we work in a large organization. You have people who have a lot of competency. We have people who have bigger experiences, higher experiences, and of course, you can actually identify someone and say, "I want to be your mentor." We also have programs that help people match people together for mentorship. So I would say that in this environment we're sort of lucky, but it's not the same. I remember that there was a time in 2020, it was during the COVID year, when I was going through a lot of challenges around the job I was doing at the time. And, I just felt like I needed to talk to someone. And it wasn't anybody within my current organization. I wanted to talk to somebody else. And actually spotted somebody who I felt like a woman like me, has, the same. I looked at her trajectory over the years. She's also worked in the same organization for a long time and she's still working there. And I just felt like everything about her resonated with me. And I felt like, oh, I would like this person to be my mentor. And I approached her. She was happy to give me the first level tips to the problems I felt like I was going through at the time, but she wasn't disposed to being a mentor for me. She wasn't happy to do that. So at the end of the day, it was just like a one-off mentorship, and that was it. It didn't continue. And I understood because I felt like it has to be mutual. So for you to be able to identify a mentor, you must look at that person's trajectory. When you look at your vision board and the things that you want to achieve on your vision board, does this person's trajectory, does this person's achievement, does it resonate with you? If it resonates with you, then of course, true things. I reached out directly to say, "Oh, this is what I like to. I like you to mentor me." It could be a one-off. It could be, And also, she was happy, but she said she could only go for the one-off, right? So you might meet people like that. That everything resonates with you. You're happy. You love everything that they're doing and everything, but they might not be willing to go the long haul. But what it is, the good thing is that every meeting that you have with somebody, you gain something. So I was happy that she gave me the audience, and some of the things that she told me on that day were the things that propelled me to the next level that I eventually got, because she gave me some lasting words that by the time I listened and I sort of try to put it to action, it actually was very effective. So you just need to look at your own vision board, what you're trying to achieve, and find people who also have that same trajectory. The vision that you have for yourself, they are also sort of on that path. You can actually identify them, and then of course reach out to them. You can also use other people to get mentors. Like for example, if you have somebody in the industry or in your industry that you are close to, you can also say, "Oh, this is what I'm trying to look for." Do you know there are also people who are looking for mentees? right? But they don't know where to
Yeah.
get the mentor. So somebody can actually match you up. So you just need to speak up within your own circle to say, oh, I'm looking for somebody who can help me. These are the things I'm trying to do. You might also just be lucky to find someone who is also willing to have a mentee, and then you guys can be matched together. But like I said, that will be for people who and sometimes even when I was looking for that mentee at the time, even though I had people within my organization that I could have reached out to, but I didn't want that. I wanted somebody outside of my environment, just so that, you know, they can see my perspective of the things that I was dealing with at that time. I didn't want somebody within who probably would, you know, maybe be biased about certain things. So I just wanted somebody who would tell me, and you know, it was very effective. So that's what I think you can do. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Adibola. At this point, I think maybe we can take the next speaker now. You have been very insightful. Honestly, I'm tempted to use my power as a panelist to ask you some more questions, but so that we don't keep our next speaker waiting. Thank you so much, Adibola, for your
Thank you
time.
for having
Uh,
me. Thank you for
all
having me.
right,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Adibola. Thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for waiting so far. Now we are going to move on to our next speaker. And I promise you that this is also a session you would love, love, love to be a part of. We have here with us Mrs. Ifeoma Chuks Adizie, who is a commercial professional. She's a social impact and female enthusiast, and she's an author. Ify, as she's fondly called, is a seasoned professional with a rare mix of experience in brand management, sales, media, and with over 19 years experience building brands across Africa. Ify is executive director commercial at CAP PLC, the makers of Dulux Paint, where she's currently leading the sales and marketing teams to deliver business growth. She's a graduate of economics from the University of Jos. Ify started her career with Procter& Gamble Nigeria, where she held several leadership positions prior to moving to Cadbury Nigeria and now CAP PLC. Ify is wildly passionate about business growth, and she has led her teams to deliver significant business growth even during a recession and global pandemic. She is also passionate about people development and living a life of purpose that makes God proud. In 2012, Ify started on a journey to fulfillment even beyond the spheres of her full-time job. Today, she is the author of two books, The Uncommon Woman and Made for More. She is also the founding president of the Uncommon Woman movement, where she inspires and teaches career women how to purposefully and profitably birth the more in them, even with their full-time jobs, without losing the things that matter to them, like their homes or even their sanity. If is a wife and mom of three children. She is also a board of director on the board of CAP PLC and Finca Microfinance Bank. She's the recipient of several awards, with the most recent being the Exceptional Leader of Excellence Award from the Global Women Economic Forum. Please, with a beautiful virtual round of applause, welcome with me Mrs. Ifeoma Chuks Adizie. Welcome, Ify. It's really good to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Ronke. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 I can.
Good to see your face. And hi, Yemisi. Hi, Adebola. Thank you so much. I
Bye.
really enjoyed that session. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always love seeing career women that have a number of things on the side. So it's very exciting. And then, hello, everyone. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good
So, Ronke, I
evening.
can go ahead.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, I'm asking, can I go ahead?
Oh, yes, please, by all means.
Okay, so I think you have so good evening, everybody. I will try, I think I have 30 minutes. So Ronke has done the introduction. My name is Ify. And I think I share a lot about my story, and I'll share like 5 things I've put together for us. The topic is balancing fulfillment with making money. And it's so interesting because when I started out straight out of school. I was in an organization that was called ISEC, and I really wanted to change the world. And I didn't even want to earn any money. I just wanted to change the world. And my money was so good that my 1 year salary was equivalent to my mom's gratuity when she was retiring after over 30 years. So it was a big deal for my family. But deep down, I've just always been someone that wants to do things and help people. No, so go back, I'm still there. So in 2010, I became very, very restless. I became very restless, very unhappy with my life. I felt very empty. And I started asking questions like, was this all there was to me? I wanted to do more things. And so I started out a couple of things. Actually, the first thing I started is not even in these slides. But the question that I'm a very fit person. So if you hear me say God a lot, because I do have a lot of conversations, I try to clarify a lot of things with him. But the first question he asked me was, what do you know how to do? And I jokingly laughed and I said, I know how to have babies in the US back to back. And it was like, so why don't you turn that into a way to make money and touch the world? And I'm like, God, it sounds a lot like scam. Long story short, I really discovering myself. What did I love to do? What did I want to impact the world with? In what ways would I find fulfillment? And how would everything add up such that, I would make money? A couple of things I've learned before I take into the 5 things I want to share with you is that you can actually find fulfillment in your full-time job and make good money out of it. That's number 1. You can also find fulfillment in the things that are in you that may not be expressed in your full-time job. And so maybe that's things outside it. So today, I ran that business for about 12 years before we closed it down. Today, I run what's called an Uncommon Woman movement. And what I essentially do is just encourage career women to believe that you can have it all. You can have that income, you can have the impact, you can have the fulfillment, and you can do all that, whilst, acing things at work and in your home. So what exactly, when we talk about fulfillment, balancing fulfillment with making money, what exactly gives fulfillment? Fulfillment is really an intersection of what you know how to do or what you love to do and its impact on people. Rebecca, we can go to the next slide. And its impact on people. Sometimes I really feel like the most important thing is the impact on people, because you can actually be doing a job that you don't essentially love, but because you're impacting people, you actually go home and go to bed feeling fulfilled. Today I lead a commercial function. My first foray in sales, I totally hated it. Like, I'm introverted. So imagine they send me to the field, and I remember everybody expected me to resign and just hide. I used to be very quiet. And though it was a sales job, I just realized that I really wanted to touch lives. And for me, it's a personal, I believe that, those balls that when you go, people always have, they say they invite you to a ball, right? And it's just a dancing party where everybody's bougie and dancing all nice and all that. So that's a ball, right? I believe that life is a ball. And when you go there, you will meet lots of people. I tell myself that I don't want anybody to meet me and go away without something that is memorable in a very positive way. So that I moved to sales, yeah, it's a job that honestly was difficult for me. I didn't honestly enjoy it. I was stressed, but because I wanted people to be better, I ended up doing a lot of work with my team. A lot of them went back to university. A lot of them now are like really big boys. These are, people that many of them had not gone to school then. And I would go back to bed at that time, just being happy about those things. So I think the first thing is you need to be clear on what even gives you fulfillment. What is fulfillment for you? Look back at maybe the last couple of weeks. What's that thing that happened and you just smiled and you went to bed, or you were just happy? Whatever that thing is, my challenge to you is, how do you bring that into your job and how do you bring that outside your job? Okay, so now we go into the 5 things I wanted to share with you. The number 1 way to actually balance fulfillment and making money is actually to stop looking at what you do as just a job or a business, or I just do it, we do it to make ends meet. We do it so that we can get a salary, right? There are levels to this madness. There's the job level where everybody is. You're just coming to work. Let's come in and collect our money, I beg, it's the rat race. Then there's a career where you now want to build something out of it. And this is relevant for whether you're in a full-time job or you're in a business. There's a career where you then be like, oh no, I want to get to this point. Or you think about your business in the next 5-10 years, this is who I want to be. This is what I want this business to stand for. That's when you're in a career mode. But very rarely do people move to a calling mode. And that's why a lot of times we feel like the work that we do is not fulfilling, even though sometimes you're enjoying it. So fulfillment is beyond you enjoying what you do. Fulfillment actually happens when you move to a calling. What is a calling? A calling is really something deep down in you to touch lives. And how you will touch lives, Mr. A, is different from how Mr. B will touch lives. A calling is something that pulls you. So when you're in a job or you're in a career state, whether it's your full-time job or your business, mornings, you need to be kicked up. A calling, you will be tired, but you deep down, something is just driving you and you're able to do that. So how do you move what you do today, either your full-time job or your business, from either a job or a career level to a calling? And number one, and Adebola, alluded to this, you must always know your why. What is the purpose of that? And when we talk about life purpose, a lot of people feel, oh my God, it's such a big word. I don't know, I need to think. I was thinking, I had headache. God is not talking. I read this book. So I just tried to make it very simple and say, you see that thing that you're doing, so that's your career, that's your business. What is the purpose? Why are you doing it? Why do you think that you found yourself there? There is nothing that is an accident. If my career path, if I shared to you, laugh. I started out in marketing. So I was assistant brand manager. I did it for about 2 years. Then I was getting married. My husband was in Abuja. I got moved to sales. I did sales for 4 years. And I said, you know what? I've done this thing very well, but honestly, I'm not really a salesperson. Yes, I have great results, but honestly, do I see myself growing here? No. I want to go back to marketing. I moved back to marketing. Then from marketing, they moved me to media. So it felt like for 10 years of my life, I was just being thrown anywhere and everywhere. Guess what? The role I do today, I'm the commercial director or commercial director. And what I'm responsible for is all these different places where I worked. And guess what? Nobody can bamboozle me because I didn't work there for 6 months or 3 months. In each of those places, I worked there at least 4 years. I'm responsible for sales. I'm responsible for marketing. I'm responsible for customer service, everything. So there's nothing that is an accident. So ask yourself, what's the purpose of me being in this space? And I always say, don't entirely look at it as oh, I didn't want this, or no, but why am I in this space? What are the things that I enjoy doing here? What are the things in this space that call out to me? I'll give you another example. So now, when I start, and for every role I start, I ask myself, what's the purpose? So I started this role, and it was Chief Commercial Officer. And I knew, honestly, from the start that, okay, I honestly had been prepared for this role because of all my experiences. But what is really the purpose? Why exactly is it me that is on this role? And one of the things I realized just talking to my people and just talking to the team I met, people hadn't been promoted for years. There were no clear systems in how people were rewarded. Senior people didn't used to fight for their people. So senior people would just get very, very, sometimes they wouldn't even get anything, but they just wouldn't fight for their people. And those things cost me pain. So in your space where you are, what are the things that you see frustrate you? The things that you see today and you wish like, oh my God, if I were this, I would fix this. These were things that I used to say when I was younger. Oh God, I hate it when people have not been promoted for a long time. I hate it when people are taken for granted. I hate it when people cannot be given a voice to speak. I hate it when you treat people like a statistics. It honestly upsets me. And then guess what? I get a role where you're now leading a team of over 200 people. So it was very clear that for me at that time, the purpose was not just to deliver the business, but to, for lack of a better way of putting it, really transform the people to begin to believe in themselves because they were absolutely amazing, but they are just being beaten by life and they didn't feel it. So that's the first thing, because if not, you come into that role and I just focus on the business and I do the numbers and we grow as crazily as we have grown and I'm happy. But then at the end, you still feel, So the first one is know your purpose. What's that thing why are you there? The second thing is identify your superpower. When you're moving from your place to a calling, when you're trying to drive fulfillment, right? Fulfillment is very fuzzy. And especially when you're in career and when you're in business and you want to balance it with making money. And with all due respect, if I don't pursue the dream of fulfillment, how will money come on my table? It can't just be, I'm the champion, I'm an advocate for this. And the people that do it and then they actually do a lot of money, But you need to identify your superpower, because when you are clear on that, your superpower, whether it's in your career, that's the superpower that you would flog, that will get you recognition, get you promotion, get you influence, get you a place at a table, at the tables that are higher than where you are today. And then you start to make more money. And then you start to even impact more lives. If you're not clear on what your superpower is and you just come to work every day like every other person and you're shouting, I also want to help people, you will be helping people, but you will still be on that same level. And you know that when it comes to helping people, it's a lot of money. So you need to be growing for you to also be doing that. So identify what your superpower is. And what's your superpower? What's that thing that you know how to do so well that even if they wake you up in the middle of the night, you know how to do it? And identify your superpower. It can be at work and it can even be outside the space of work. For the space of work, I always say, look at your results in the last maybe 3 to 5 years. What's that thing that seems to be consistent? And most times we may not have even noticed it. And I give you an example. So I've always been a commercial person, selling, brand management, everything. Until I sat down and did this exercise, I used to say, I just know how to work. Trust me, if you put me on a team, I just know how to deliver. But I sat down and looked at my result, and it dawned on me that for at least the longest part of my career, I always deliver double-digit growth, right? Even when there's a recession, even when there was COVID. Identify it and own it. A lot of us women are very, very scared to own our superpower. Oh no, maybe it was just that particular time. Really it was, no. When you own it, you become more, honestly, more powerful in your mind and in just how you process things and how you approach your work. Because remember, the whole idea is to balance fulfillment and making money. Making money is a progressive journey. Fulfillment is a progressive journey. So as you identify your career purpose, the next thing when it comes to the money part is, what's that your superpower? Be clear about it, own it, and say it. And at that point, I started having conversations. And if I was in a chat or an interview or anything, I was not afraid to say, I know how, this is my track record. This is what I know how to do. And I remember there was one interview I went to, and the guy said, so what if you come in here and you're unable to do this? I told him it's not possible. If I come in here in 6 months, I'll turn around your business. Yes, it might sound very cocky, but guess what? If a guy said it, it will sound very cocky. If a woman says it, then they say you are very proud. Of course, I say all those things in boasting on God that is backing me. Just be clear. What I was trying to say, you need to identify your superpower. You need to be clear about it, because that is what is going to really help you drive your income. Sometimes your superpower might not even be in something that you do at work. So remember, I was telling you about the sales job I did. I was in a job that I hated. It wasn't my superpower. But my superpower, one of my superpowers is I know how to talk to people and they just have this fire and they just go off. I know how to make them see the things that they see as challenges as peanuts. And then they just embrace that thing. I just know how to make them get fired up, clear the obstacles, and they move. I noted this as far back as when I was in sales, 2007, 2008. When I started this new role, it was very clear that that was my superpower. And so I continue to use it in all my roles. And as I've been doing it, that one thing that has really helped in growing me in my career, because everybody's like, oh, if he's a great leader, if his team is loyal to her, if his team, if they tell if this is done, even if he's mad, if his team will deliver it, that's my superpower, right? So for some other person, it could be something else, but that's one thing that you need to do to really grow. Ronke, I just remember that I had individual slides for this. Can we go to the third one?
Okay.
So I've talked about career purpose, identify your superpower. The third one is, next slide, please. Transform your work. You cannot want to balance fulfillment and making money and your work continues to remain at the level where it is. So I really love this picture. For those of us that are cartoon people, Superman had this friend, Lois Lane, and Lois Lane, I don't even know how she became, whether she's, I don't know. Long story short, she was a reporter. And you see in this thing, once you identify your superpower, look, everything about you trans. The thing you need to do for you to balance fulfillment and making money is you need to transform your work. Transform your work so radically, it commands the respect of the people above you. When it commands respect, you start to get support that you did not honestly anticipate. Your voice begins to be listened to. I don't know, sometimes you step into meetings and when you've not spoken, they said, oh no, but you didn't say, let me see, you didn't say anything today. What did you think? That's when you've started transforming your work. People now want to hear your voice. When people start to seek your voice on matters, that's also an opportunity to now start also impacting. Those things you want to do for people, those things you want to do, you start speaking up. You know, I always say, even in your job, you can enjoy fulfillment. When you transform your work, yes, you start to sit in meetings that your peers are not there. People are asking things, you start to build relationships upward. There are things that will happen and somebody will ask you, what do you really think? This thing happened in the organization. What do you think? And that's your opportunity to speak up for the rest of the people because that will give you fulfillment. So transform your work such that you're so good and your work actually starts to attract attention of people that would help you in driving the fulfillment or your fulfillment agenda, okay? Step number 4, and please, we will take questions. I'm just trying to keep to the time. Step number 4, and this is very, very important. And I kept saying this, when it comes to fulfillment is not you don't get fulfillment from what you do for yourself. You get fulfillment from what you do for others. That's how we have been built. You know, think about it, the time you just stayed and smiled, that you saw somebody, person was helpless or whatever, you were able to help the person, or someone, it's always about other people. But guess what? As you're growing in your career, as you're growing in your career and you're getting more, getting access to tables where you're able to, your voice would help other people, right? And ultimately give you fulfillment. The next thing is that you need to be the person that assignment needs. Remember, I talked about moving your business or your calling or whatever to a calling level. A lot of us on social media today, we know NHN. Sometimes I do just wonder, I'm like, God is just very interesting. This woman was selling fabric from her BQ and just selling fabric to big men's wives, military officers' wives, and all that, right? And all of a sudden, her platform was yielded. And she moved from just seeing her business as a business of selling fabric to, I want to stand for God, I want to stand for decent dressing, I want to be a voice to women in my generation. And it moves automatically from business. It moves from even just, I want to build a career that my children that in 10 years' time is worth $1 billion. No, it has moved to a calling. And it just totally explodes everything. Well, guess what? As it's exploding everything, there's a lot of, what's that word? There's a lot of pressure on you. You need to be the person your assignment needs. Some of us will say, oh, I'm an introvert. And these things are putting me out there. You need to be the person your assignment needs. Sometimes the fulfillment work that might be listed in your heart is to help widows, or is to help people, or, put together things. And you say, oh, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to raise funds. The next step here is you need to be the person that assignment needs. I shot my husband was laughing at me the other day because work, we're talking about something. And everybody in the office, the executive team was like, if he's a fighter, they call me L&D, Lives and Destiny. And I didn't know that I used to say it. Like, honestly, I have certain principles. I don't make people decisions when I'm hungry. I won't do it. I feel it is not fair. I don't see people as names on an Excel sheet. I see people, I see their families, I see their wives, I see their children. So I will not make a decision that I'm not in my best form. So when we are having leadership meetings, we're doing people and I'm fighting for my people, I'm like, these are lives and destinies we're talking about. So they start calling me L&D. But what was I trying to say? They were saying if he's a fighter, and my husband started laughing. I'm sure if they said this thing in front of my brothers, they would just like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't like confrontation. I hate it. As in, I'm a conflict avoider. But guess what? My assignment needs me to speak up. And so I speak up, and so it can be that way for different things. I do Uncommon Woman today, right? And with Uncommon Woman, I'm speaking, I'm teaching, we have sessions and women are a lot. Everybody is talking and laughing. I'm an introvert. I get drained. But guess what? My assignment needs it. I need to show up. I had to learn this year or last year how to go on video because I'm generally just put the name there. I beg. I can talk, but leave the video out of it. But you need to be the person your assignment is. So as you're thinking about it and those things that will drive fulfillment for you, who is the person that you need to be? Okay. And then last but not least, next slide is first. Think I've infused this into a lot of things. Think people first. Fulfillment not you yourself. It's not what you do honestly for your family. Is what you do for people. It's a priceless feeling. When I started my fitness, and that's why I said, you can be fulfilled and make plenty money. You can make plenty money. I'm an Igbo girl, so I can explain it well to you. My first business that was helping people have babies in the US, we started out charging $200, then we moved to $300, and at a point we were charging $600 for the service. Do you know I would have people, there was this man, his wife gave birth in the US, and all through the process, he didn't really say a lot. The day his wife gave birth, this man called me, and this man was crying on the phone, and he just kept saying, if you thank you, if you thank you. Apparently, he had been in the UK, had his first child in the UK. His wife now got pregnant. He had issues in the UK, and they had to be deported back to Nigeria. They go back to Nigeria, and this man felt like a total failure, and his wife was pregnant. And he felt so, I know men can be hard on themselves. And he kept telling his wife, this is not the plan. He didn't want her to give birth in Nigeria, everything. Long story short, someone told them about me. I sorted everything for them. This was then, business has closed now. People start asking me about it. Sorted out everything, found where she would stay, and she had the baby, and the man called and just started crying. And that's not one, that's not two, that's not three. There's a priceless feeling that comes when you know that you were used by God to make somebody else happy, to make somebody else feel like God is mindful of me. And guess what? It doesn't always have to be free. There's a part that is paid, and then there's a part that is free. When I started Uncommon Woman, it was for me, my way of giving back. I just wanted to share everything I'd learned with women. And guess what? For the first 1 year or 2 years, I was doing a lot of trainings. They were all free. And one day I'm like, God, how far now? I'm always broke. Like, I earn a lot of money, but I'm always broke. I hate this. I just hate this. And what I heard, you're giving away for free what you could have sold to some people. And I'm like, sold bow. Is this not you that said I should do this thing free? I'm helping people, No, it doesn't always have to be free. There are people that can afford it. And those that can afford it will not even touch it if it is free or if it is cheap. So whatever you're serving to the world, that thing that is your superpower, whether it's in your job, whether it's outside your job, whatever that thing you're serving, you need to have a product that is of reputable standard that you can price well. Like I told you, we were pricing the service $600 and we still had people. And you do your job so well. However, out of what I used to do then was we take a portion of it, and I think it was 30% of it, of every income that comes in, whether it was my first business, this second one I'm doing, that comes in, it goes into helping people. So some days we just do charity, free gifts, different things. At a time we worked with the UN to just help people that were in IDP camps to have accessible and hygienic childbirth. So there are things you can do. So as you think people, don't always think it must be free. One thing I learned on this journey was that sometimes when it is free, people don't pay attention. There will be the good people that will value it. And I can say, because my journey, I grew on a lot of free trainings before I got to the point where I could afford it. So please, as you do it, don't feel, constrained that, oh, anything that has to do with fulfillment needs to be free. No, I work today. I'm impacting lives. They're paying me salary. It's not free work. I'm running these things that we do trainings. It's not free, but guess what? We give so much value that even at the end, the women are saying, what I got is more than what I paid, So as you think people first, always think people first. That's what really drives fulfillment. And think the balance as well when it comes to the finances. And I think that's pretty much it. What's the next line? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I just put this slide. I knew it to be short, but I share a lot more on LinkedIn, and then we can take questions. Next slide is questions, and that's it for today, at least from my end.
Wow.
Okay, thank you so much.
I feel like you shouldn't end. Yes,
That was so
good.
great. That was so great. Thank you so much. We have questions coming in for you. So so there's the first one that I saw, which was a bit, it was kind of thought-provoking for me. Olushola Clara, I hope you're still on the call. So hopefully we can get a good answer from Ify. So she says, I have a good vision, but my husband has always been saying no, simply because of who to take care of my children, believing that the implementation of that vision will take my attention off the children. But what do I do? Because I don't want to disobey him at the same time.
I'll try and answer it as quickly as possible. There's a science and an art to getting your spouse's support, right? And I always tell people it starts with understanding his background. I'll try very quickly to answer this question. What was his background like? How are the women figures in his life? If he has a concern that maybe to take your attention off children, what happened in his background that gave this? It doesn't just show up like that. What are things that he saw? What are things that he heard that is influencing this? You need to understand those things because you need to know what you're literally battling against, right? Once you're clear about those things, the next thing is, okay, this vision, now you to look at it with realistic eyes. Is it going to take me away from the children? And you, what do you want? I loved when Adebola talked about how she really loves family. And I honestly believe that family is key, So ask yourself, is it really going to take me away from the children? What do you want? Is that what you want? And if you know it will not take you away, or it may take you away, what is your plan to ensure that it will not take you away from the children? And then thirdly, there's only because I'm a salesperson, then you now start to, what I call it, like present your plan to your husband, but you don't do it that way. You don't do it in one conversation. You have series of conversations, and you don't do it, oh, I need to talk to you. No, he comes back from work, just make very, very lighthearted what he likes to eat. You're just gisting. This thing that you talked about, this is my idea. My dear, I really agree with you. You know this thing you said, but let me tell you why I think this is. And you'll be dropping your points. No, plenty story, and you move on. Don't talk too much. Another day again. So what you're doing is you're planting seeds. When I wanted to start my business, same thing. My husband was very, very worried. He said, no, me, I'm very, very fragile. That he knows me. The next thing I will break down and everything will suffer. Both me, work, children, family. And I had to, you don't do it in one conversation. But as you're selling, you also need to share what's in it for him. That's something in sales that I learned. What's in it for him? What's in it for the family as you pursue this dream? How does it make you feel? When I wanted to get promoted, I had to do this as well with my husband. And you have those conversations in piecemeal. Plant something, you're planting something. until you now finally say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. This is my plan, how to make sure this doesn't happen. It's good to, I'd like to hear your thoughts. And then you have conversations around it. Don't say, oh, because it doesn't support it, I won't do it. No. Then that means, okay, no, it doesn't really mean that. So what to say, that means it's not that important to you. But I know that there are a lot of women that it's important to them, but because they just want peace at home, they just say, you know what, guess what will happen? You will start dying inside. You will start resenting him. You will start resenting your family. At a point, you will start resenting the same children that you love so much. So please don't keep quiet. What you need is wisdom. Pray about it and articulate a plan. Start dropping the seeds small, till you've buttered him up a bit and you can share your plan or your thoughts around it such that what he's thinking doesn't materialize, and ask him what his thoughts are. And be happy to do, you know what, let's even try this thing for like 3 months or 6 months. If this happens, you know, let's do this together. I need your support. And that's the journey really, but don't give up.
Thank you so much. That's a fantastic answer. When I saw the question, I was just thinking, sometimes some of us as women, because we already have this in our minds, oh, my husband does not want me to do this. We're agitated when they give that, negative thing, instead of being logical to say, okay, where is he coming from? And what is from my own end, what can I do to soften the blow on him? Also, his background, probably where he comes from, women just don't work. So the mere fact that you even have a 9 to 5 is already an issue. Then you now want to add something extra. So I think that we should also understand that, the fact that we are these modern women that want to pursue all these big things does not mean that the men that were married also come from the same thoughts. And so it's part of it to try and get them into that vibe with us. So that was a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Someone says, how do entrepreneurs typically identify and capitalize on people's needs, desires to create profitable products or services? And this is giving business school, but please go ahead, ma'am, if you have an answer for that.
So entrepreneurs essentially just sell solutions, right? So how do they identify and capitalize on people's needs? You identify by asking questions. You look around with an eye to observe. You're going around and you're just looking. What do people need here? What do people need here? And for me, I call those opportunistic entrepreneurs because they just see opportunities, their eyes, they're observant, and they're able to say, oh, by the way, it's just, so for example, now fuel has gone up to 900 naira, right? The other day I saw electric cars in Lagos. I just started laughing because some business persons brain, as we're all shouting fuel, 900, Dangote is crying, we are consoling him, we are shouting on everybody. The person is just bringing electric cars and I started selling it, and he's talking about the charge and all that, so that's first of all just being an opportunities-driven entrepreneur. I like to be a purpose-driven entrepreneur, and that means in the area of your calling, what you are great at, what you love to do, and what, if you think of yourself, what would you be doing? In that space, who are the people that you are called to? Who are the people you feel most drawn to? So let's say you're drawn to young adults, right? Young adults that just don't know how to sell themselves at interviews. Let's just work with that because you just see how they struggle. What are their needs? And based on that, and the thing is that the more the quality of the questions you ask, the better your product will be. So what you're asking them is, what are you struggling with in this area? What is the one thing that is the biggest thing for you? What are all the other products on the market? What do they offer you? What are you missing? Sometimes people might not even realize they are missing something. You observe them. And then based on that, you create your own product that delivers way better than what they are getting today. And if possible, can even launch it. Sometimes you don't even have to even launch it at lower price. Sometimes even higher, but you're able to sell it. But because it's addressing a need that's unmet. And a lot of us that want to go into business or want to start something don't want to ask questions. Someone say, oh, I know how to make shoes. What are the needs in that regard? Have you talked to people? Have you realized that people that have big feet don't have shoes? They don't have beautiful shoes. They have very ugly shoes. As if only make beautiful shoes for them. So what's the need? It's when you ask those questions, you're able to create something that they want.
Thank you so much. That was a very good, that was an amazing answer, actually, asking questions. Okay, so Omolara says, how do you relax? How do you take care of your well-being while doing the things you do? How do you prevent burnout?
My favorite pastime is sleeping. I don't believe that I'm honestly doing half the things I'm doing because I love sleeping. So I'm also very mindful, and I've had one or two episodes of burnout, and it's not a very good place to be. So I'm also very, very sensitive to myself. I give you an example. Because I do work and I do my business, I do a couple of other things. I'm not joking. I don't wake up on Saturday like I'm in bed. And the African woman, you should be in your kitchen, you should be in the market, you should be hustling. I know, I'm sorry. I do all those things in the evening, all the things that need to be done. So I clear out Saturday so that I can sleep, because I realize that when I do week in, week out, week in, by the third week, I break down. So I also listen to myself. Then number two, when it comes to self-care, sometimes it's beyond physical, it's also in your mind. There's something that I've been telling myself for the last couple of months: peace like a river. Peace like a river. There is nothing you will do that will shake me. I refuse to be shaken. Anything that is going to come is going to have a solution. And so with that mindset, I just feel, and interesting, I'm able to overcome quite a bit of things in these last few weeks that ordinarily would have shaken me before. But just in summary, just really taking care of myself. When I finish from work, if I feel like I want to take myself, I just go out, take myself, I go and eat. Take myself to a really nice place, eat, have fun. But really, for me, the biggest one is rest. I also try to sleep well at night, because that one is really key. If I sleep late, then I would most likely not. I won't do all those early morning. There's some days out there where they're going out. I'll say I'll sleep in, and I'll work from home, and I'll start by 9 o'clock, and I'll work till 7. But just that flexibility, it comes from me understanding myself and my body.
Thank you so much. There are loads of questions. And I think that's a testament to the quality of what we've had today. Someone says, I'm into career and personal development, but my husband is kind of laid back in his pursuit of purpose. How can I help?
Pray for him.
Sorry?
Pray for him. Honestly. Because, honestly, why I say so? Because it can rub off either way, and you can, if to continue to pursue your purpose. There was a lady that was in one of our classes, and guess what? She used to attend the class with her husband. I used to laugh. I didn't know the husband was there for the longest time.
Uncommon
Until I
man.
think halfway through the program, she said her win was that something her husband has been procrastinating to do for the last 2 years, he finally has started on it. And I'm like, okay, what has that got to do with the program? And she's like, oh, because he sits in the class. I'm like, you're joking, So it can rub off either way, but you continue to pursue your purpose. He will see you, he's seeing you. Don't do it in a way that, because we are women. Sometimes if we're not careful, if he's laid back, let it be. Because if you hold on to it, you honestly will start becoming unconsciously disgusted, and it will come out. You didn't plan for it to, but it will come out, and that will hurt your marriage. So one of the things I would say is, first of all, start speaking what you want to see concerning your husband. You call out his name. Jimmy, you are relentless in your pursuit of your purpose. You are clear on your purpose. You are relentless in the pursuit of your purpose. I just love. See, you say these things to him, you say these things in prayer, and just keep saying it. And then you keep continuing pursuing your purpose. It will turn around, because sometimes when we pursue, you're like, why are you just always there? If you're not careful, it would rob you of the beautiful things that you have beyond just these ones. And sometimes some people, that's just how they are. But you just look at it and say, what are the things I love about this person that thoroughly makes me happy? Nobody's perfect. Same way you are not perfect as well. and then you just keep praying for the person. My dad is very, very honestly, my dad was beyond laid back. My dad doesn't like stress. Like, as people are talking like this, man, like, oh Jesus. Meanwhile, my mom is like hustler for Africa, you know. But guess what? My dad is the one that has time to sit down with you, gist with you. I want to understand this. I want to understand that, you know. Did it influence the kind of man I married? Yes, it did, because I did not want someone that was laid back. So I consciously was looking for it. But guess it also has its own downsides, because my husband is very, very driven. Oh my God, you should see where he's driving me and the children. I'm like, God, can you just give us a break? So everything has its upsides and its downside. Be grateful for what you have. List out those things that you have, so that when that thought comes into your mind, you remind yourself, but he is this, he is this, he is this. Start to speak what you want to see. Say it to his face in love, you know, say it even behind him when you are praying for him, and just continue to pray for him. But you keep pursuing your purpose. Don't stop. He would never.
Thank you so much. Okay, maybe I'll take two or three more, so that because it's getting late now. It says I studied food science and technology, and I've got an employment as a purchasing officer. But along the line, I assumed an admin role. How can I improve on my career journey? I feel sad I've not added any certification since I graduated in 2010. What can I do to improve or stand out in my career?
So I think first of all, when you say you feel sad that you haven't added any certification, then it's something that is personal to you. So I think the first thing I would advise you is you should go and get that certification. It's part of feeling fulfilled and happy and proud of yourself, right? The last thing you want is to feel unhappy or disappointed with yourself. So that statement already is very loaded. So if you haven't gotten any certification, what do you want to get a certification in? You need to drill that down into that and at least start that process. Once you've gotten the certification, or while you're getting the certification, I would ask you to, sometimes it's not very easy, but what would you really love to do? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Because I see food science, I see purchasing, I see admin. The truth is that a lot of us, the things we read in school, we didn't do it. So I'm not so fixated on you read food science and not in food science. It's okay. There are 1 million of us that read that were not there, you know. But ordinarily, what would you love to be doing? What space would you love to find yourself in? And it can be something that is not even what you've done before. And so how do I get into that space? If it's something that you've done, either the purchasing or admin, okay, how do you grow in that space? But first things first, that certification that you need to get, you must get it. You need to start feeling proud of yourself and the woman that you're becoming. And then secondly, look through all your experiences. What have you loved? Where do you see yourself? And then at least start to carve or start to grow in that place. And we just never know. You know, nobody these days, life is very, very fluid. That you started a career in one space doesn't mean that you would most likely finish there. But you know, start there and start to grow there, and then let's see what comes out of it and how you grow in that regard. Hope that helps.
All right, thank you for that answer. Can we take two more? Do we have time for
Yes,
two
I'm
more?
here. I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, someone says, sequel to my previous question. Okay, I don't even know what your previous question was, but it says sequel to my previous question, work has been demanding. I hardly have time for other things. So I don't know whether this is a question or is a comment, but I see an issue here, which is the fact that their job is so demanding, and I think that they want to go into other things. So maybe they're looking for how to, I don't know, maybe some time management tips or something.
Okay. When I started working, I started my career in Nigeria. Absolutely amazing place. Absolutely amazing place. And you get so drawn in, and we had a lot of work. You work 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. But there's this one lady, her name was Christy. 5 o'clock, she will close. Christy and our HR manager, 5 o'clock, they close. All of us are not married. Christy and Shadi were married. But we just used to find it so funny. 5, they just close. And the next morning, they are there on time. And then by the time obviously I became married, because I had started it working late, I just continued. But then the truth is that you would I believe a lot in boundaries, right? Boundaries, and give to Caesar what is Caesar, give to God what is God. What do I owe my employer? What does my employer pay me for? And I don't believe in my employer pays me for 8 to 5. Yes, that part is there, but my employer pays me for certain deliverables, right? My responsibility is to make sure that I can deliver on those things within the time frame that is allocated to that time. And so what that means is that sometimes at work, I just realized that usually after lunch, I was really faffing around. And I would just be like, oh, you know what? Oh, my brain is not working. You go around, you say hello to this person. You do lunch, first of all, for 1 hour. Then you say hello to like 10 people. Another 1 hour has gone. Your mind, you tell yourself you don't want the lunch to go down. So I don't really start working again till around 3, 4. And so I work straight till 7. So some of the things I had to change in my life was you have lunch 30 minutes, you get back to your desk. I have a to-do that I must deliver every day. And I sit down there and I do it. And that made my time at work more focused, more productive. And it meant I wasn't taking work home. Then I conditioned myself, because you need to have something outside work that gives you so much fulfillment, satisfaction, that as you're leaving work, you have a reason to be excited. And so then it used to be like clockwork. As I'm leaving the office, something in my brain switches and I move from P&G to Deluxe. And I'm immediately thinking, oh, these are the tasks that I need to do. These are the tasks that I need to do. These are the things that I need to do. So what is that thing? You need to have something. There's your time. There will never be time now. So you need to find out what is that thing that is compelling enough to want you to make out that time. Identify it, make your daytime, day work, your 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, make that time as productive as possible. There will be times where we always have all those high seasons, for finance people, budgets. For those of us in commercial, when you have visitors and when you have those business reviews, there will always be those peak seasons. Forgive yourself. It's okay. In those seasons, give it what it needs to give, but just ensure that it doesn't become a norm. And the truth is that whatever you want to start to chew, and that thing that is extra you want to do, I don't know what it is. Don't take something so big starting out. Take something you feel like this, it will be hard, but I can do it. As you start having success, small success, you start to get excited, you start to get fulfilled, then you start to do bigger things. But the truth is that you make time for what's important to you. If you don't make time for it, just never get done. End of the day, you will regret it. You feel bad. That for me is not something that you want to do. But then the business has even gone on to do all things it wants to do. So you make sure you do your part. You do your part at work. Amazing. Deliver within that time and still make out time for you to be able to do what you love.
Thank you so much. This thing you said about going to lunch for 1 hour, I think most of us are very, very guilty of this. And they will come and complain that, oh, I work late. Even though you used a good part of your day to gist and things like that. It's very weird. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, let's take this last one, which is quite long, but I think that
Okay.
every part of it, factors into the overall question, right? So Blessing
Mhm.
says, I'm an introverted lady who just bagged my MSc. Big shout out to you, Blessing. Congratulations. I found myself in sales after my BSc by helping my mom for about 2 years before going for NYSC and my MSc. I am currently in a field sales job, which I got due to my work experience, and I hate it so much. The only time I smile is whenever I finally get a customer to buy. I enjoy research, and I was advised by a career woman to go into product marketing or management. However, I enjoy research and women's issues. I'm always pumped up to engage in activities that have to do with women, and I have tried getting into NGO for women, but it has been unprofitable. What would you advise a young girl to do, especially one who is not getting the kind of career that will give her fulfillment? That's the question.
Hmm. This is a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question. And for several reasons, because one, I'm a proponent of whatever you find to do it well. I told you about how I was in field sales and I didn't like it. But my mantra is I will never carry last. Like that I hate it. We will slug it out there. I can't be last. I need to, actually, when I feel like people are expecting me to fail because it's not in my character, then I go there and I literally am trying to prove them wrong. Well, that was those days. These days I don't even bother anymore. But then I used to bother a lot. Um, so what I would say is, first of all, you find yourself in a field sales job. There might be a reason. So do it and do it well. It's okay to hate it. I told you my story. But what are the things that you love about it? You love when you finally get a customer to buy. Why? What do you love about that? Are there things that and you enjoy research? So are there things that you can research into shopper behavior, consumer psychology? What are the things that make them buy? Leverage your strengths to understand the science behind selling. Guess what? Some of the best salespeople are actually introverts. You know why? Because extroverts talk too much. Introverts don't really talk. They ask questions, they observe. And because they do that, they are able to better assess what the consumer needs and offer it. So I think your strength in research, or what you don't love for research, please go and research shopper psychology, consumer behavior. What are the things that drive people to buy? There's a guy that I found on LinkedIn. Guy was an introvert. Now he has built a niche for himself in just selling psychology because he just couldn't sell until he cracked those things. It might not be where you end out, but guess what? Selling is all about meeting people, sharing your ideas, and getting them to buy it. Even if you do go into the NGO space in the future, guess what? That's everything they do because they don't have a product per se that brings money. So they are constantly sharing their idea with people and raising funds. So yes, you'd love women issues. You come alive when you're doing that. It's not worked now trying to get into an NGO. It's possible God doesn't want you to get in there and you're getting a sales job that you're getting because of your work experience. So where you are now, give it your best shot. Leverage your gift of research to make yourself outstanding. I told you I did sales. My gift was strategy. I don't the strategy, and I mapped it out. And I said, if I do 1, 2, 3, my numbers will do this. And that's how I was acing at that point. So leverage your gift of research to make you the best in that space. And then look for an NGO or somewhere where you volunteer. It's a volunteer, everybody would love you to come. Look for a space that deals with women and all that and volunteer. So at the end of the day, you have this one where you found yourself right now, you don't know what the objective is, but it's something that is needed. Remember, we talked about becoming the person your assignment needs. I don't know what you're going to be needing to do, but as introverts, we need to learn to come out and talk to people, share our ideas in ways that are convincing. So that's what I would say. Where you are, let's do that one, get it done, build yourself in that regard, make yourself better, leveraging your gift of research. And then by the side, you can also be volunteering in any of the women organizations around, and also be getting fulfillment from there and be growing. Obviously, praying about it a lot till you know what direction to really take.
Thank you so much for that response. I could really really relate to her because I'm also very 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 passionate about like women's issues and stuff like that. And I also started out in sales, which was a very very hard time for me. I ended up doing it for 5 years though. So
You see?
yeah, I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just if that's what you
Yeah.
want, just start out volunteering and you'll be very very fine. So thank you. This has been Yemisi. I think I will just hand over back to Ronke for her to finish the section. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we see.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. I sincerely appreciate you for joining. I must say that it's been a very, very, very impactful session. And I know that apart from myself, there are a lot of people here who have also learned a lot. It's always that discussion. How do you make money and also get fulfilled? At the end of the day. But both from Debola and also from if you one thing I have learned is sometimes you would need to get fulfillment from what you are currently doing. I mean, I know that I started my career as a writer, and then anytime my boss asked me to do strategy, or create slides for marketing, I'm always like, no, I don't want to do this. I mean, here I am today. I'm fully doing marketing, something that I hated in the past, and I am extremely fulfilled from it. So I need to add, I'll just say that sometimes what you think you love to do might not just be all that you love to do. And so just like Ife has said, always make sure you put in your best in whatever you're doing, because whether you like it, whether it is what you like at that time or not, whatever you learn from doing it, you would not be taken away from you. So thank you to everybody who has stayed to the end of this session. Like we've earlier said, there is a survey link in the chat box. Please, please, please do well to fill the survey link, because we want to get feedback and also see how we can do things better in the future. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, MC. Thank you, everybody who stayed to the end, and have a beautiful evening. Thank you.